For millions of viewers in the 1970s, Demon Wilson was not just an actor on a screen, he was a familiar presence in their living rooms every single week. As television became a shared family ritual, his face and voice became part of that rhythm. Wilson rose to fame during a time when sitcoms were shaping American culture, reflecting everyday struggles through humor and heart. He didn't play a flashy hero or a larger-than-life icon. Instead, he portrayed someone grounded, relatable, and real, which made audiences trust him instantly. His success wasn't built on spectacle, but on consistency and emotional truth. Even decades later, people who may not immediately recognize his name still remember his expressions, his timing, and the quiet strength he brought to his most famous role. That kind of recognition doesn't fade easily because it is rooted in connection rather than hype or novelty. Becoming Lamont Sanford and making history, Demon Wilson's career changed forever in 1972 when he was cast as Lamont Sanford on Sanford and Son. At just 26 years old, he found himself acting opposite Red Fox, a veteran comedian with commanding presence and fearless energy. The pairing could have overwhelmed a younger performer, but Wilson matched Fox scene for scene. Lamont was the steady counterbalance to Fred Sanford's chaos, offering patience, sarcasm, and quiet affection. Their chemistry felt natural because it was built on contrast. As the show climbed the ratings, drawing tens of millions of viewers each week, Wilson became part of television history. The series wasn't just popular, it was influential, opening doors for more diverse stories in mainstream entertainment. For 5 seasons, Wilson helped anchor a cultural phenomenon, proving that strong characters didn't need exaggeration to leave a lasting impact. Fame without illusion or blind devotion. What set Demon Wilson apart was his clear-eyed view of fame. Even at the height of Sanford and Son, when success might have felt intoxicating, he never treated celebrity as an identity. For him, acting was a profession, not a measure of self-worth. That perspective became clearer as opportunities continued to come his way after the show ended. While he took on new projects, including sitcoms and film roles, he never chased attention for its own sake. Hollywood often rewards those who stay visible at all costs, but Wilson seemed unconcerned with constant reinvention or staying in headlines. He understood that applause fades quickly, and that personal grounding matters more than momentum. This mindset quietly set the stage for the most unexpected chapter of his life, one that would surprise fans who assumed fame was always the ultimate goal. Choosing a different kind of purpose. During the late 1970s and early 1980s, Demon Wilson experienced a profound shift in how he viewed success and fulfillment. Rather than leaning further into Hollywood's demands, he turned inward. He spoke openly in later years about feeling spiritually unfulfilled despite professional achievements. That honesty led him toward faith, study, and eventually ministry. Becoming an ordained minister was not a publicity move or a temporary phase. It was a serious commitment that reshaped his priorities. Wilson devoted himself to religious work, writing and speaking, focusing on meaning rather than visibility. He didn't reject his acting past, but he refused to let it define his future. In an industry built on constant exposure, choosing a quieter, values-driven life required conviction. For Wilson, walking away wasn't an escape. It was an intentional step toward alignment between his beliefs and his daily life, stepping away. While the world watched, one of the most remarkable aspects of Demon Wilson's journey is that he stepped back from acting when many expected him to push forward. He turned down opportunities that conflicted with his principles and eventually took a long hiatus from the screen. For nearly 2 decades, he lived outside the entertainment spotlight, focusing on faith, family, and personal growth. This decision challenged the idea that success must always move in one direction. Wilson didn't seem afraid of being forgotten because an unusual stance in a profession driven by relevance. Instead, he appeared comfortable letting his work speak for itself while he pursued a more grounded life. That absence wasn't a failure or a retreat. It was a conscious redefinition of what mattered to him. In doing so, he demonstrated that fulfillment doesn't always come from staying visible, but from staying true. A quiet return on his own terms. After many years away from acting, Demond Wilson eventually returned for a small number of projects, including a late career appearance that carried personal significance. His return was not about reclaiming fame or revisiting old glory. It was selective, thoughtful, and intentional. By then, he had nothing to prove. The industry had changed, and so had he. That quiet return reminded audiences that stepping away doesn't erase talent or experience. If anything, time had deepened his presence. He approached acting with perspective, free from pressure or expectation. It was a reminder that careers don't have to follow straight lines to be meaningful. Wilson's later work felt like a closing note rather than a comeback, offering reflection instead of reinvention. He showed that it's possible to leave, grow, and return without losing your sense of self along the way. More than a single iconic role. While Lamont Sanford remains Demond Wilson's most recognizable character, reducing his life to one role misses the larger picture. He was an actor, yes, but also an author, a minister, and a father. He wrote books exploring faith and personal responsibility, sharing lessons shaped by both success and struggle. Those who knew him often spoke of his thoughtfulness and humility, qualities not always associated with celebrity culture. His life demonstrated that people are allowed to evolve beyond the roles that made them famous. Wilson didn't cling to nostalgia or resist change. Instead, he embraced growth, even when it meant stepping away from comfort and familiarity. His story resonates because it reflects a universal question. What do you do when the thing you worked for no longer fulfills you? His answer was courageous, deeply personal, and quietly powerful. A legacy built on choice and integrity. Demond Wilson's legacy isn't defined solely by ratings, reruns, or catchphrases. It's defined by choice. He showed that walking away from fame doesn't mean rejecting success, and that integrity sometimes requires sacrifice. In an industry often marked by excess and ego, he chose restraint and reflection. That decision may not have made headlines at the time, but it left a deeper impression on those who followed his journey closely. His life offers a counter-narrative to the idea that relevance must be constant and public. Instead, he demonstrated that relevance can be personal, rooted in values rather than visibility. For audiences revisiting Sanford and Son today, his performance still delivers humor and warmth. But behind that familiar face is a story of intention, faith, and self-awareness that continues to inspire long after the laughter fades, remembering the man beyond the spotlight. As people reflect on Demond Wilson's life and career, what stands out most is balance. He experienced fame without being consumed by it, success without losing perspective, and transition without bitterness. Whether remembered for his comedic timing, his thoughtful writing, or his spiritual work, he lived a life that extended far beyond television screens. His journey reminds us that it's okay to change direction, to step back, and to define success on your own terms. In a culture that often equates visibility with worth, Wilson's path offers a quieter, wiser lesson. His work continues to bring joy to new generations, while his life choices offer something just as valuable: permission to walk away when something no longer serves who you are becoming. That may be his greatest contribution of all, and one that will endure long after the applause.